Hey everybody out there on the internets, welcome again to another edition of Give It a Shot, the mystery box version of the show where I take 5 DVDs out of my collection, put them in a box, do a little dance, make a little love, watch one of them, and then tell you just how bad it went. And today we have a couple returning favorites and some new stuff. So let's start with the returning favorites. We still have Donkey Kong Country's triple feature. 3 episodes of the wonderful CG animated Donkey Kong Country show. I can only imagine what I'm in store for with that. The 8-film collection of the Little Cars, the complete series. Because that's how many of the episodes they could get away with in Brazil before they got shut down. And we'll see how bad that can possibly go. Another classic from the 90s, Sonic the Hedgehog, Sonic Goes Green. He's holding a planet, which means Sega owns us all. And so 2 of our new ones. The Adventures of Zobi in Jungle Jive. Your guess is as good as mine. And then this one, brand new, Bruce Berry's Bug Rangers. Hairy Situation. I don't know. I don't know anything. This came into my life, and that's all I know. The box is green. I think they stole some Xbox shells. I have no clue. Now, we get to do the dance of joy. Cosa Larry. What fate waits me today? Oh, joy! It's gonna be the Little Cars! Shit! Let's just get this over with. Well, let me tell you about this piece of shit. So, remember, I do this for your comedy dollar. YouTube is free, except when you pay your internet bill or your phone bill, or whatever bill is attached to it. So, this is the Little Cars complete series. And I'm familiar with the Little Cars series. It's a video Brinquedo disaster piece, to put it nicely. I reviewed their stuff before. The Great Race is what I did over 2 years ago. But I've never really done anything with the rest of the series. Although one time I did do, way before I established anything like Philly Film Reviews, I did some riffs, almost like reaction riffs, to an episode that was in the. Well, again, I torture myself for your entertainment. I had done an episode, apparently. I guess this must have been a TV series at some point, because there's some noticeable differences between the Great Race and what I watched today. And apparently, because I was like, I don't know which one I'm going to watch, there's a title here called Fast and Curious, which sounds so wonderfully wrong that of course that's the one I'm going to watch. And it had that one episode that I had watched, because apparently what they did is they, from what I can tell, they put in, these episodes are like 10 minutes at best, and so they slap them in to groups. And the one I watched was number 3, which is Fast and Curious, which I'm already there. That sounds so stupid. I'm gonna do it. Plus it sounds kind of sexual as well. So I said, that's the one I'm gonna watch. Now the first episode was about drifting. And the whole thing that goes along with it. And that was an episode that I had watched previously years and years and years ago and did a riff on. I guess I should just start at the beginning. So, like I said before, watch this. I reviewed Great Race, and I'm supposing that was the movie or the pilot of some sort, because a lot of stuff that happens in the movie doesn't exist in this. In The Great Race, our main characters are Cruz, Lugnut, Coop, Mr. V8, the Champion, and the Wrangler, if I remember correctly. Those are the ones that were in it. And a couple of differences between that and what I watched today. The voice actors have changed, and some of them, which that happens in animation. You're never always going to have your voice actors, for whatever reason, they change, and that's fine.
Then that's what you'll do. Every day there's something around here that needs to be fixed up.
I've never seen a series of any type that uses the exact same characters but changes their names. It's like they forgot who they had. Lugnut is now Combo.
Combo lost him downtown.
No, I did not.
Coop is now Chris.
It's been a while, but don't you recognize your old friends, Chris?
Akira, is that really you?
And Cruz is now Tony.
Tony, you have a big race on Sunday. If you do this, you'll be exhausted.
I'll be fine.
I don't know why. It's never explained. But those 3 characters go through a name change. Like, the people who wrote this forgot who they had. I don't get it. I don't understand it. I'm not even sure if they got the name of the town right, because they say Raceopolis, but if I remember correctly, there's Rhodopolis, and then, well, everything's still in. So this is from Brazil, so everything's still in Portuguese, and even the signage above Tony Cruz's pits are Rhodopolis. So, okay, all right. Let's talk about. Breathe. I already had to take one shot. Not looking forward to the second. So, again, Fast and Curious, or Fast and Curious, because I guess Fast and the Curious would be too close to legal something, because, you know, you're already ripping off Cars. Why in the fuck would you just not go that extra mile to rip off a movie? There are 4 episodes in it. The first one's about drifting. Chris, Coop, whatever. She runs into an old fling from when she was wee little, when they were in driving school, which again brings up questions that I've always had about this series, like how does that shit work? Like if you don't graduate driving school, like can you not walk?
You look totally different. A hot new paint job and stylish low suspension. I wouldn't have recognized you from our driving lessons if it weren't for your voice.
Is that why Mr. V8 exists? Because he has to drive you everywhere? And how does that work? Because he can't really lug cars around. Whatever. So, apparently her old fling, which they do talk about, apparently these two have bumped ugly bumpers.
As I recall, you and I really got each other's engines going. Ain't that right?
Hey, whatever you had, she's my girl.
Oh, don't get overheated. It was just a fling.
Be honest, babe. The heat between us could burn rubber.
At one point, it's insinuated. And Tony Cruz gets pretty upset about this. And says, I'll race you. But this new guy is like, well, I don't go around in circles because circles are for sissies. Turning left all the time. Woohoo. He does drifting. So they have to go to this mountaintop and drift down to this spot. And I'm familiar with the concept of drifting cars even before Fast and the Furious's Tokyo Drift made it a thing. Back in the day, my cousin and I used to play this game on the PS1 called, I believe it was called Tokyo Highway Battle. I know I have it in my collection. I haven't played it in forever. But I know we had it. But it was a game where they did emphasize drifting, and they actually have footage in the game of this dude who's really good at it. So that's like 95, 96 when we were playing that game, so I'm very familiar with it. And so the whole race is you go down this mountain, and you have to, I'd never heard this rule before. They have to hear you squeal your tires at least 3 times or you are disqualified.
So, this is the deal. The rules are simple. The one who gets down there first is the winner. You gotta drift so everyone can hear your tires screeching on at least 3 turns. If you don't, then you are disqualified.
I don't know the proper format of drifting because I've also never watched Initial D. I almost said Initial D, which is an Eugen Ennen reference. It's funny to know that there are rollerbladers out there that are huge weeaboos. But Initial D, which I'm aware of that, but I've never watched it because I don't think I'm ready for it. So he's complaining that that's not real racing because you don't have control. But as a backstop to this, there's drama at the racetrack because the tires that they are getting for Tony Cruz's races aren't as good as they should be, so he drifts. So I guess when he goes into this race with the old fling, he has the terrible... Oh! So, he has the terrible tires that help him drift in this race, and whoopity-doo, he can all of a sudden do it.
Right. Now that I've got this drifting thing down, the only thing left to do is win the race.
And not only does he win the race, he shows him up and explains, hey, you're not a bad racer, it's just a thing, and it resolves itself. Second episode is about his cousin that comes to town, and this is a pretty forgettable one. He's a little car from the country, and he gets lost in a big city and gets himself detailed out, tricked out. No real lessons learned there, so fuck that one. Third episode was about the Wrangler returning, and he wants to show up Tony Cruz by sabotaging him on the podium.
Nah, but I thought you could help me rig the podium so once they got on it, they'd fall down.
You remember the Great Race? He actually attempted murder on. Attempted murder on Champion. So there's that. So he's out and about, and he tries to befriend, for lack of a better term, the roadie for this group of cars known as the Hot Rods, which I am assuming are the equivalent to James Brown.
Baby, 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 baby.
Because the way that they act in concert at the very end reminds me of James Brown. But Wrangler tries to get this big truck named Samson to help him out, and in the course of it, Samson realizes he's trying to be tricked, and he's like, I'm not having this, you can do it your damn self, which he does.
It is. I'm a big truck, but I'm not a big idiot, dude.
Which is a lovely piece of animation. Anytime these cars have to do anything sort of dynamic, like pick up a piece of paper, like in the Great Race, or use a wrench, oh, there's a lot of questions. So yeah, it's adorable. The whole thing about it was Samson learns that he's actually a part of he's part of the family of the Hot Rods, because the James Brown car explains to him, it's like, look, I appreciate everybody that works for me because I have the best people and they are my family.
I keep it up because I work with the best people I've ever known and make something special. You are as much a part of the Hot Rods as I am. You mean I'm not just a nobody? No, you're a great member of our family.
Just because you are not up on stage, you are important. Because that's what Wrangler tries to do. He's like, don't you want to be famous? And Samson's like, well, it'd kind of be nice. But then when he realizes he's being used, he's like, you know what, I'm out. So what they do is they plan a trick. Samson plans a trick where he was going to get back at Wrangler for trying to sabotage other people. They fool Wrangler and like he's been reintroduced, because apparently after his attempted murder, he is banned from racing. And so they push him up onto the podium, and then the one act of dynamic animation that ever happens, and when I get to the animation segment, this is going to be discussed ad nauseum, the stage collapses on him. And it's probably, like I said, the most dynamic piece of animation that happens that I've ever seen, really, throughout this entire series that I've watched.
Topless lanes!
Here you go, pal. The podium is all yours.
Not the podium!
There you go. And then the final part, which was about an elixir that V8 starts drinking, which apparently contains nitro, which is bad for cars, but it's sold as a sort of like by a snake oil salesman who looks like a palette swap of Wrangler. V8 takes this stuff and he's zooming around and thinks he's doing all this stuff and he's flying and whatnot, but he gets a terrible side effect. Flames shoot out of his ass. Quite a lot. So there's that. And so when the rest of the crew realizes, hey, what's going on here with V8, they confront dude, and in the middle of it, and probably the best part of the entire thing that I watched today, Mr. V8 catches on fire. And I don't mean just like a little, no, he's completely engulfed in flames. So as far as I can tell, cars have their own version of hell, which is another thing. There's religion in this, because Coop asks if there's a patron saint for hot racers.
Oh, Combo, there must be a saint that protects hot race cars, right?
God. Patron saint of hot racers. Yes, let's pray to the mechanic. Oh, God, fuck it. Yes, let's pray to the mechanic. We go in for, carburetor checks. Oh, little boy's first oil change. Jesus Christ. Oh, God, he's confirmed. He just had his first tune-up. That's so fucking bizarre. And the fact that Chris Coop, I'm surprised she's not spilling oil everywhere every time she thinks about Tony Cruz. Like, Jesus Christ, girl, get a grip. I know it's your man car, but tone that shit down. The whole thing with Mr. V8 catching on fire, that kind of made this whole thing worth it. I think I'm going to keep that still image just because it's a priceless thing to me at this point, given how much torture this shit gives me. And it turns out when the fire department shows up to hose down Mr. V8, the paint job comes off the Swindler car, and it turns out to be the Wrangler, and the Wrangler's going back to prison. Okay, and then it just ends.
Thanks for the tip, my friends. He's a very dangerous fugitive. Somehow he managed to escape from the penitentiary, but we knew he was bound to start some trouble.
So, wow. That is a lot to take in. 4 10-minute episodes in this 45-minute piece. And, whew, okay, so story-wise, these episodes wouldn't necessarily be bad. Like, they have plot, except the one with the cousin. Because the cousin one is totally fucking worthless. That could have just been tossed out. Doesn't matter. Like, the drifting one, you could elaborate that story a little bit better to, instead of like, oh, we have faulty tires, I kind of drift in them, here's this new guy that's threatening to take your girl, which is another weird thing. He's like, it's like they're wagering Coop. Like, she's not, she's, she has her own autonomy. She's gonna go with whatever car she likes. Just because you win a race doesn't mean she's automatically gonna blow your pipe.
I think the man of my dreams is actually jealous. Tony, you've already won me.
You jackass. But that was a thing that was discussed. But you could have made that like a bigger issue. Like, he has to learn how to drift instead of just learning on the fly and beating a guy at his own game the only time he ever does it. The whole thing with the Wrangler coming back to do harm, that could have been fleshed out a little bit more, probably a little bit better. But you know, that's sort of like the problem with all of them. They feel a little rushed. So, they're not the best stories. The animation. This is Video Brinquedo. So, the animation's already going to be bad, but it's got a different flavor of bad. I mean, the animation in the Great Race was, yeah, not the best, but this, it's like they cut the budget even further. Oftentimes, you're gonna see characters, like, the car is there, and I get why they were animating cars, because when they move, you don't have to do much, just spin some tires, and that's easy. But they don't move. And the only thing that does move is their mouths. And so sometimes it's just this rock of a body, and then this stretching out, talking. It is like the weirdest thing. Like, and they don't look at each other very often. Their mouths just kind of move, and like, I don't know, like they're stuck there and they're trying to gnaw something. It's just so disturbing. And even when they do what I call the exposition highway, which, if you remember from The Great Race, happened a couple times, even that looks worse. I didn't think that was possible. That is a flat highway where two characters can stand by each other, and just jaw. And even that looks worse. I didn't know that was possible. And they've done it. They've actually done it. And on top of that, there's a lot of clipping in the animation. Work with your models, for fuck's sake. Instead of having Clip Fest, I mean, it's not as bad as Trollland. There's never going to be anything as bad as Trollland in terms of clipping. That was just weird rigging. This, you could have done a little bit better. The voice acting, there's different voices. And it's Video Brinquedo. So I recognize some of them, and some of them are brand new, and then with the name changes, it's like, It's a lot to take in. It really is. And like when I got through the first 3 episodes, I was like, okay, this is obviously it. And then the 4th one happened, and it's like, granted, the 4th one was a little bit of a redeemer because that 2nd episode was so fucking worthless. But, such a slog. All of it. Such a slog. Such a slog. Slug the shit, Sam. Quit looking at it. Get the misery over with. So, even though I knew what to expect with this, because I've reviewed this before, at least one of their movie, and I knew what was coming, it still threw me for a loop. That's impressive. That I know exactly what's going to happen and what to expect from the character designs and probably what the story is going to be like. Because the first one still really didn't have a story. And the mere fact that you have a tow truck gambling another car's life savings. Yes, kids, gambling is fine. Yeah. Knowing that that is something that I am familiar with out of this series. And I still am taken aback by the fact that cars catch fire. Although that was enjoyable. Really speaks, it's really a testament to what Video Brinquedo is capable of. Because by God, this is nuts. And in a weird way, I like it. It's kind of like Dingo Pictures. It never ceases to amaze me where they're willing to go and fuck up. And they're a damn close second. Yeah. 3. That's what they got out of me. I couldn't go Vlad because I kind of knew what I was getting into, so going Vlad it might have been easy, but it wasn't that bad. I think the only saving grace was the fact that there were 2 instances of dynamic animation when Wrangler got trashed by the stage and V8 caught fire.
Oh my gosh! Just look at me! The fire is spreading! Ah! You're a crook! What have you done?
Oh. Yeah. 3 out of 4. Still kind of painful, but I knew what I was getting into before I even started, so. Not bad! So until next time, kids, toodles!